Good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News with me, Ishan Russell, right here on Rajya Sabha TV, and these are the headlines that we're tracking this morning. The government calls an all-party meeting today to end the parliament logjam. The Congress, however, insists it needs a tangible proposal to attend the meet. Over 80 people killed and 80 lakh affected in floods following heavy rains in West Bengal, Odisha, Gujarat and Rajasthan. Pakistan yet to confirm proposed meeting and agenda for talks of national security advisors after India sends proposal for meeting on August 23rd, 24th. Two of the four Indians abducted in by the IS in Libya return home today after being freed. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj says India doing all it can to release the other two. And Malaysia widens the search for the remains of MH370 after more debris is washed ashore near the Indian Ocean islands. Our top story this morning is the third week of the monsoon session of Parliament and there is no end to the logjam in sight. The government has convened an all-party meeting at noon today to discuss ways to end the deadlock. But before that all-party meeting, the Congress Parliamentary Party meeting will take place where Party President Sonia Gandhi is expected to fine-tune the Congress's strategy to take on the government. The party, however, has set the condition for cooperation, demanding the resignation of BJP ministers.
2 weeks gone, the government is making a fresh attempt to resolve the deadlock in Parliament with an all-party meeting at noon today. The Congress, however, wants what it calls a tangible proposal from the Prime Minister in order to attend the meeting.
I don't want to blame anybody, and nothing is going to be achieved by allegation and counter-allegation. My request to the Congress party opposition is, please allow the Parliament to function. Whatever you want to say it on the floor of the House.
What is this development they are talking about? The same very bill we wanted the Parliament to pass, the same very Bharatiya Janata Party, who washed out sessions after sessions, did not let the GST bill. The Honourable Chief Minister then, Mr. Modi, opposed it strongly. And today, they talk about development. What was our opposition to these things?
Along with the left and other opposition parties, it's demanding the resignations of Sushma Swaraj, Vasundhara Raje and Shivraj Singh Chauhan in the Lalit Modi and Vyapam controversies. Hours before the all-party meet, Congress President Sonia Gandhi will address the party's parliamentary party meeting to further fine-tune its response. This will be the first meeting of the CPP general body in this session.
Parliament is a vibrant institution in our country, but to run the Parliament, it is the primary responsibility of government. Now, Parliament is not working because of government. The government's arrogant, adamant position. Opposition parties have made a simple, straightforward demand. The tainted ministers should quit. Once they quit, there can be a meaningful discussion in the House.
सरकार वार्ता में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है, प्रचार और प्रसार में ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट है। ऐसा लग रहा दोषारोपण वो विपक्ष पर करना चाहते हैं और खुद सदन नहीं चलने देते क्योंकि वो दोषी हैं। उनसे इस्तीफे की मांग करी गई उनके तमाम लोगों से। दो मुख्यमंत्री पूर्ण रूप से दोषी हैं। तो ऐसे में जिम्मेदारी सरकार की बनती है। जो सरकार विपक्ष पे आरोप लगा रहा है, हम इसको पूर्णतः नकारते हैं।
So far, the BJP has shown no signs of accepting the no resignation, no discussion demand of the opposition. It has offered instead a reply by External Affairs Minister Swaraj in Parliament and a discussion on the Lalit Modi controversy, but is calling the Vyapam scam a state issue. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And we're joined by Smita Gupta, Associate Editor at The Hindu, to help us understand as far as this logjam is concerned. Smita, both sides completely adamant. We've seen 2 weeks washed out, and it seems that in week 3 of this monsoon session of Parliament, the same story is all set to continue.
Yes, it doesn't look too hopeful because though this is the first all-party meeting that has been called by the government today after 2 weeks, yesterday you had several of the top ministers, including Mr. Arun Jaitley, attacking the opposition and blaming the opposition. This has considerably annoyed the Congress party, which had made very clear on Friday itself, when the all-party meeting was first announced for Monday, that it would only come, its participation in today's meeting would depend on the government offering a tangible proposal, which translated means that the subject of the resignations of External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj, Rajasthan Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje and Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Chauhan would be on the agenda at least. The only sort of ray of light that I can see, or chink really, is that the Parliamentary Affairs Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu did not adopt the tone adopted by his cabinet colleagues. Instead, he has offered that that if there is a discussion on these very issues, on Vyapam and on the Lalit Modi controversy, the Prime Minister may, not will, but may agree to come and speak on the floor of the House.
All right, so
in the morning today, the Congress Parliamentary Party...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I said that this in a couple of hours, the Congress Parliamentary Party will also be meeting to finalize its strategy. And I believe at about 11 o'clock thereafter, the other opposition parties are also having a meeting ahead of the all-party meeting, because the Congress has been working over the weekend to reach out to other opposition parties to present a united strategy.
Right.
In this, I think they are assured at least the support of the left parties and the Janata Dal United.
All right, but that's the problem as far as the Lok Sabha is concerned. The opposition does not have the numerical strength to really become a major problem for the government. Of course, the noise is there, the parliament constantly getting adjourned, and no conversation or no debate has happened in parliament. But in terms of the numerical strength, that is not with the opposition, the Congress party. We heard there were murmurs of dissent over the strategy itself last week at the CPP of the Congress party. So this time around, do you see the other opposition parties rallying with the Congress and ensuring that as far as the Lok Sabha itself is concerned, much of the same story is repeated as over the last 2 weeks?
I think so. Firstly, you talked about the differences within the CPP. True, there are certain Congress MPs like Mr. Shashi Tharoor or Mr. Jairam Ramesh who have voiced their sort of reservations on this particular strategy of holding up the House. But in the end, the decision will be taken by the Congress President Sonia Gandhi, and she has made it very clear that this is to be the strategy. I really can't see them withdrawing, and especially after the kind of statements that came from the Finance Minister and others. As for the other political parties, it is true that it is only the Congress party that has been entering the well of the House, has been displaying placards. But the fact, and in that it has only the complete support of the left and the JDU. But even parties like the Trinamool Congress, etc., have not, and Samajwadi Party, who have not participated in this kind of disruptive tactics, see themselves very clearly as part of the opposition. And they have not as yet done anything that could bail out the government. So there is, I would say, tacit support from them on this issue.
All right, Smita Gupta, we leave it over there. Let's see once at 11 o'clock what happens when Parliament reconvenes. But thank you very much for coming in and helping us understand the nuances of the political games that are at play right now. Thanks so much for that. Well, moving on now, cyclonic storm Komen has weakened into a deep depression. But it has brought very heavy rains in the eastern part of the country, leaving it in a state of deluge. Over 80 people have died, mostly in West Bengal and Manipur. Lakhs, though, have been left marooned and vast lands of crops affected.
West Bengal, Odisha, Rajasthan and Gujarat are reeling under floods. More than 80 lakh people are affected in fresh floods due to excessive rains in these states. It is the aftermath of Cyclone Komen that killed around 48 people in West Bengal alone. Heavy rains have hit 12 districts in the state, including large parts of Kolkata. The army has also been called in for rescue work. Over 2 lakh people have ended up in relief camps. Close to 2 lakh houses were damaged and farmland of over 21 lakh hectare has been submerged.
बारिश तो मतलब खत्म होने के नाम ही नहीं ले रहे और रास्ते में तो गड्ढा बहुत है, आने में जाने में बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है। तो एक कॉर्पोरेशन को देखना पड़ेगा ये सब कैसे जल्दी से जल्दी ठीक हो जाए।
हमारे घर के नीचे पूरा पानी भर गया है और नीचे जो केयरटेकर्स लोग रहते हैं उनके रूम के अंदर पानी भर गया है और जो आपका जो नाला रहता है ना साइड में वो पूरा ओवरफ्लो करके सब गरीब लोगों के घर में पानी घुस गया है।
The situation in Rajasthan is also grim. At least 28 deaths have been reported, of which 12 people lost their lives in the last few days following very heavy rainfall and flood-like situation in many parts of the state. In Gujarat too, floods have caused havoc. 48 districts and population of about 40 lakh were affected in recent floods due to heavy rainfall in the last few days. The floods have also killed 53 people and over 16,000 cattle. More than 10 lakh food packets have been airdropped or distributed to the flood victims in the state. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Heavy rains and landslides have claimed 21 lives in Manipur. 2 teams of the National Disaster Response Force have been deployed in the Chandel district for rescue operations. One team of 22 rescuers of the National Disaster Response Force has been airlifted and has already reached the worst affected Jomur village, where 12 houses were also swept away by landslides. Floods have wreaked havoc in many districts of the state as bridges have been washed away and houses and shops are submerged in water. Earlier, the state government had dispatched a team of the SDRF to rescue affected people, but the team could not proceed due to several landslides near the Tengnupal village and had to return to the Chandel district headquarters. The monsoonal depression due to the cyclone Komen moved offshore from Bangladesh before strengthening over the Bay of Bengal and resulted in incessant rainfall in the past 1 week over the state.
To go to that place by road is completely, not possible. So we have asked air support from NDRF. So NDRF has sent a chopper yesterday, last night. So they have been airlifted from the Guwahati.
कल रात से ही मेरी टीम वहां पे एयरबॉर्न होकर इम्फाल पहुंची और इम्फाल से उन्हें एक दूसरे जगह पे ले जाया गया। वहां पे नियरेस्ट हेलीपैड जो है वो ऐबोल जॉपी में है और वहां से अब हमारी टीम 4 किलोमीटर ट्रेक करके पहुंच रही है और हम निरंतर संपर्क बनाए हुए हैं मणिपुर के स्टेट अथॉरिटी से, वहां के रेवेन्यू ऑफिशियल से, वहां के डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट अथॉरिटी से और साथ ही साथ आसाम राइफल्स के अधिकारियों से भी हमारी टीम और लोकल कमांडर्स निरंतर संपर्क बनाए हुए हैं और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि कुछ घंटों में हम वहां पहुंचकर स्थिति का पूरा जायजा लेंगे।
Here are some of the stories that are likely to unfold during the course of the day in our day ahead. The Delhi High Court is likely to hear the plea of Congress leader Rajya against the AAP government's advertisements today. The High Court, during its hearing on the 29th of July, expressed concern and called it a blatant violation of the Supreme Court guidelines. The court also asked the government to give details of the money spent on ads, which allegedly glorify Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party. The Bombay High Court is likely to announce its verdict on Nestle's plea against Maggi ban. The court on 31st July reserved its order on a petition filed by Nestle India against orders of the Food Safety Standards Authority of India and the Food and Drugs Administration of Maharashtra's decision on banning Maggi as it contained lead beyond the permissible limit. The CBI is likely to file a reply in response of the pleas filed by the Maran brothers in the Aircel Marxist deal. The ex-telecom minister, Dayanidhi Maran, and his brother Kalanidhi Maran have challenged the jurisdiction of the special 2G court to try the case. The Delhi government has called a special one-day session of the Delhi Assembly today at 2 p.m. The one-day special session of the Assembly has been called to discuss the issue of safety of women in the national capital. Jammu will witness a shutdown for another 72 hours as the AIIMS Coordination Committee extended its Bandh call by another 3 days from today to press for the establishment of AIIMS in the region. The earlier Bandh call came to an end late Sunday evening despite police personnel being deployed in large numbers in Old Jammu city to impose prohibitory orders. Protesters burned tires at some places and resorted to stone pelting in the area. Time for us to take a very quick break. Coming up on the other side, India has sent proposed dates for NSA-level talks with Pakistan, but Pakistan yet to confirm on the meeting. More on that on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching the Breakfast News. Now, Pakistan has received India's proposal for a meeting between the national security advisors of the two countries on the 23rd and 24th of August in New Delhi. This was confirmed by the Pak Prime Minister's advisor on national security and foreign affairs, Sartaj Aziz, to Radio Pakistan. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi had decided during a meeting in Ufa in Russia last month that their national security advisors will meet. Aziz said that India has proposed 23rd and 24th August for the meeting with the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. He, however, said that Pakistan has not yet confirmed the proposed meeting and the agenda of the planned talks has also not been fixed yet. During the meeting, the National Security Advisors are expected to discuss cross-border terror, bail for Mumbai terror attack mastermind Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, and other security issues of mutual concern. Despite the two premiers agreeing on restarting talks on bilateral issues during their meeting in Ufa, the recent Gurdaspur terror attack and repeated ceasefire violations by Pakistan have increased tensions between the two countries. Time for us to take a look at some more developments that are expected to make news during the day. Ahead of its deadline for taking a final decision on the issue of Western Ghats by August 10, Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar will hold meetings with nearly 70 MPs from the stakeholder states. He will chair the meeting with the MPs from 6 states of Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Goa, Maharashtra and Gujarat in Parliament to get a final round of feedback before deciding on the exact contours of the ecologically sensitive area. The high-level working group headed by K.S. Kasturi Rangan had in its 2013 report recommended to the Environment Ministry that 37% of the Western Ghats area should be declared as ecologically sensitive. The first session of the Border Coordination Conference between the BSF and the Border Guards Bangladesh will begin at BSF headquarters today. A 22-member delegation of the BGB will sit across the table with their counterparts, the BSF, for their 4-day Director General level talks on a host of border issues. This is the first official Bangladeshi team to arrive in Delhi after the historic land boundary agreement has been conducted, with the exchanges happening between the two countries. Nearly 80 students of FTI Pune will stage a demonstration to highlight their demand for removal of Gajendra Chauhan as the institute's chairman in Delhi today. They will start their march from Jantar Mantar at 10 a.m. and head for the Parliament Street. FTI students have been protesting and boycotting classes since June 12th over Chauhan's appointment. Now, 2 of the 4 Indians released by the Islamic State captors in Libya will be back home today. However, there is no news on the other 2 who are still held captive in Libya. The MEA has assured no efforts are being spared to free the other 2 captive Indians as well.
News of the release of 2 abducted Indians in Libya coming as a huge relief for their loved ones in India. Anxious family members are eagerly awaiting the return of Lakshmikant and Vijay Kumar, who secured their freedom from captivity from Islamic State terrorists.
Safe ಆಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ ನಾನು ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಈಗ ಟ್ರಿಪಲ್ ಎಂಬಸಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಸೇಫ್ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು
ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರು ಏನಾದರೂ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು
ಅದು ಏನು ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ನನಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಕೇಳಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಖುಷಿ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತು ಸೇಫ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರ್ರಿ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಸರ್ ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾನು
The 2 men left the Tunisian capital Tunis on Sunday. They are expected to reach home today. In a Twitter message, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj said the government is trying to get the other 2 hostages released as well. The other 2 Indians still in captivity are Balram and Gopi Krishna, but no information is available on their whereabouts. There are no demands for ransom either.
We are not getting any information from the embassy that when they are going to release. Every day I am making calls and I am getting the hope that by that day, by evening, I may be getting the information or I may be getting a phone call from my husband. But till now, I didn't get any information that when they are going to release it. So, I mean, I'm very much tension, and it is mental agony for me and my children.
External Affairs Minister Srimati Sushma Swaraj ji, and she is in touch with them, their country, their embassy and their counterparts, and they are all, the government of India and herself, they are making all-out efforts to release these two hostages also.
Sushma Swaraj reportedly briefed the Prime Minister on the steps taken to secure their release. The Ministry of External Affairs said they were in constant touch with the families and are hopeful of an early release. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Malaysia has widened the search for more debris from the vanished plane MH370 as few more pieces of debris washed ashore near the Indian Ocean islands of La Reunion. Last week, a wing part suspected to be part of the missing flight was found near the Indian Ocean island of Reunion. Now it's being examined by officials in France. Meanwhile, Malaysia has confirmed that few other debris found last week are not from MH370.
Suspected MH370 debris has created a buzz at the Indian Ocean island Reunion. Malaysia has widened the search near other Indian Ocean islands. They have also asked regions nearby to alert if they find any debris that could be from MH370. Search teams scouring near the Reunion found a metal object on Sunday.
Je pense qu'il y a de fortes chances que ce soit un débris du MH370 et que, en tout cas, ce serait un bon espoir pour les familles des défunts.
Mystère dans cet avion-là, est-ce que ça a été un accident où il a été abattu, cet avion-là? La question que les gens se posent. Parce que d'après les informations qu'on a vues, il aurait survolé une base secrète dans l'océan Indien et qu'il a été abattu volontairement.
Hopes are high. Malaysia has confirmed that the piece of wreckage washed ashore last week is from a Boeing 777, the same type of aircraft as the long-missing MH370. The object, which resembled the wing part of a plane, has been sent to the laboratory in France. The analysis will begin on Wednesday. In addition to France, experts from Malaysia, China, the US National Transportation Safety Board and Boeing are taking part in the investigation. If confirmed to be part of the MH370, the wreckage would be the first bit of physical evidence recovered from the plane, which vanished on March 8, 2014 after leaving Kuala Lumpur for Beijing with 239 people on board. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Following an outcry over the illegal killing of famed lion Cecil, Zimbabwean officials are now seeking another American who killed a lion a few months ago. The National Parks and Wildlife Management Authority said that a doctor from Pennsylvania had killed a lion without permit earlier in April. The investigating agency had called the doctor's home in woods outside Pittsburgh but have received no response so far. The new case popped up after Cecil was shot illegally in July by U.S. dentist Walter Palmer of Minnesota. Zimbabwe is seeking his extradition. And let's get you some more international news now in World Wrap. Greek traders have predicted that the Athens Stock Exchange is set to plunge by as much as 20% on Monday when trading finally resumes after a 5-week closure. The bourse was shut just before the Greek government imposed capital controls at the height of the debt crisis. Traders say they expect sharp losses as a result of pent-up trading and fears about Greece's worsening economy. Banks account for about a fifth of the main Athens index. King Salman of Saudi Arabia has cut short a holiday on the French Riviera, where the closure of a beach for his security caused an uproar. After only 8 days of what was planned as a 3-week stay, the king flew on to Morocco. More than 1 lakh people signed a petition against the closure of the public beach at Valerius. French police blocked migrants trying to access the Eurotunnel in an attempt to cross the channel on Sunday night. Freight and passenger traffic through the rail tunnel have been severely disrupted in the past week as migrants desperate to enter Britain have stepped up attempts to board trucks and trains travelling from France. Foreign ministers of the Gulf Cooperation Council held a preparatory meeting in the Qatar capital Doha on Sunday ahead of US Secretary of State John Kerry's arrival. Kerry's visit is aimed at reassuring the Arab Gulf nations on last month's nuclear deal between world powers and Iran, which has been met with skepticism by Washington's Arab allies. About 1,000 people gathered in the center of the Ukrainian port city of Mariupol to protest against plans to create a demilitarized buffer zone to separate Kiev's troops and rebels. People protested holding Ukrainian flags and posters reading, "Don't give up an inch of Ukrainian soil," and Melitopol against Mariupol demilitarization. Ukraine has already pulled back fighters from volunteer Donbas battalion near the strategic port city at the end of July this year. Time now for all the sports action and sports beat. Indian champion Joshna Chinnappa annexed the squash title at the Victorian Open WSA event in Melbourne. Joshna defeated second-seeded Lion Huntsman of Denmark 11-5, 11-4, 11-9 to bag the title. The victory was achieved in just 32 minutes. It's Chinnappa's 10th WSA title, and the last being the Richmond Open title win in April last year. Rafael Nadal claimed his third Hamburg title after beating Italy's Fabio Fognini, winning a 7-5, 7-5 on red clay. This is Nadal's 67th career title. Fognini had already beaten the 29-year-old Spaniard twice this year in Rio and Barcelona, but was unable to record an astonishing hat-trick against the 14-time Grand Slam champion, who has dropped to 10th in the ATP rankings. Nadal's hard-fought victory clinched his third title of the year after triumphs at Stuttgart and Buenos Aires. FA Cup holders Arsenal won the Community Shield for a second season in a row, beating Premier League champions Chelsea at Wembley. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain scored the winner with a powerful drive into the top corner with his weaker left foot. Ramirez headed wide unmarked from Remy's cross as Chelsea failed to hit the target before the break. Zimbabwe beat New Zealand by 7 wickets in Harare to claim their first one-day international win over a test-playing nation in almost a year. Ross Taylor hit 112 not out as the tourists reached an imposing 303 for 4. But a blistering 130 of 108 balls from Craig Irvine, supported by 84 from Hamilton Masakazda, helped Zimbabwe to achieve the target with 6 balls remaining. It was only Zimbabwe's second one-day win of 2015, having failed to win any of the last 10 matches. Well, that's all from us. Goodbye.